Once we can store values in variables, we might want to perform some calculations with those values. Arithmetic is completed using operators, which are basically symbols that get executed as commands or operations when your program runs. Python has 7 different arithmetic operations that we'll take a look at: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, which are probably pretty obvious, and then modulo, exponentiation, and something called floor division. Let's look at addition and learn a few nerdy words. The operator we'll use is, predictably, the plus symbol. The values an operator needs are called operands, and the arithmetic operators we'll look at all take 2 operands. By that I mean, to do addition, we have to provide 2 numbers. Because it requires 2 numbers, or operands, we call it a binary operator. We won't look at them in this video, but there are operators that take only 1 operand, and those are called unary operators. And an operator that takes 3 operands is a ternary operator. And you thought you weren't going to learn anything interesting today. So the addition operation consists of a number, the plus symbol, and another number. An operation by itself isn't a complete statement in Python. It's what we might call an expression, and that expression evaluates to a result. This one evaluates to the value of 5, of course, but this isn't code that's going to do anything with that result. Python will complete the calculation and then just throw away the answer. We really need to put this operation into some kind of a statement. I could put it in a print statement, and the code would work like we expect. It would print out the number 5. Keep in mind that we're not storing this result anywhere when we do this, we're just outputting it. If I want to use the result again later, I should put that into an assignment statement to save the result in a variable. Then we can print that variable out if we want to. There doesn't seem to be much point to that right now, but as we learn more, we might find that handy. And for that reason, I sometimes make my students save results and output the variables instead of doing the math right inside the printline statement, especially early on in this process. Remember that an assignment statement centers on that equals symbol. At runtime, it's going to evaluate the expression on the right of the symbol and put the result into the variable on the left. In this example, both of my operands are just numbers I've typed into my source code. We call these numeric literals. We also might use the phrase hard-coded, as in the values are hard-coded in my program. These are constant values that can't change once the program starts running. But operands can also be variables. When the program gets to this assignment statement, it starts on the right and retrieves the values stored in those variables. It evaluates the addition operation and assigns the result of all that to the total variable. The subtraction operator works the same way, using the minus symbol. Multiplication won't be anything new, but we'll at least use a floating point value this time. The operator is just going to be the star symbol, which we really call asterisk. If either of the operands is a floating point value, or float, the result of the operation will also be a float. If both operands are ints, then the result of the multiplication operation will be an int. Next up is division, which uses the slash symbol. And pay attention, because there's a slash and a backslash. This one will be the same key as the question mark on your keyboard, usually down in the bottom right. In Python, the result of a division operation will always be a floating point number. This is true even if the numbers divide evenly and even if both operands are integers. We'll see how to use division to get an integer shortly. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've already learned so many interesting things in this video, there can't possibly be anything else. You're wrong. I mentioned a few more operations, and the next one is called the modulus operation. It uses the modulo operator, which is the percent symbol. Modulus finds the remainder after an integer division operation. This goes back to when you learned long division as a kid. When you divide 10 by 6, you get 1 with a remainder of 4. So 10 modulo 6 returns that remainder of 4 and ignores the 1. When you divide 25 by 4, you get 6 with a remainder of 1. So the division operator would return 6, but the modulus operation would return 1. This seems like a weird operation to care about, but it does have some interesting applications in coding. We can use it to find our way around a two-dimensional data structure, for example, or to handle screen wrapping in a video game. The most common use we'll have for this as beginners is finding out if a number is even or odd. If we modulus a number by 2 and the result is 0, meaning it has a remainder of 0, then that's an even number, and that sometimes is useful. Beyond that, we'll just file modulus away for future reference, or we'll use it this weekend to impress someone at a party. Next up is exponentiation, and if I had a better sense of humor, I'd release the outtakes of me trying to say that word over and over again. That's a fancy term for what we mean when we say in our math class, to the power of. There are actually multiple ways to calculate this in Python, but for now we'll focus on the operator, which is 2 asterisks. So 2 asterisk asterisk 3 is 2 to the power of 3. It's equivalent to 2 times 2 times 2, and we could just do that. But obviously that gets tricky as the exponents get larger. In this case, 2 to the power of 3 is 8. Last up is an operation called floor division, which you might hear me call integer division, which is what we call it in other programming languages, or maybe the term truncated division. To truncate something is to cut it off, so maybe that helps you remember this. Floor division is just regular division, but the result has to be an integer, or a whole number. If the numbers don't divide evenly, floor division just truncates everything after the decimal point. It cuts all those numbers off. This is different than rounding a number. If the number we're looking at is something 0.9, it doesn't round up, it just chops off that 0.9 and goes down. Just like in your math class, there are rules for the order of operations. When Python evaluates or calculates a line of code, it'll do exponents first, then multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. And just like in math, we can use parentheses to force an order of operations, like if we want 2 plus 3 to happen before we multiply by 4. Now, I hate to say it, but I'm pretty much out of interesting things to say about math operations in Python. And I'm out of boring stuff too, for that matter. Just like in your math class, these handful of basic operations make a bunch of more advanced stuff possible, so be sure to take a few minutes to try them all out on your own.